Doubles and Coffee, $1.4 billion. $1.4 billion of taxpayers' money with a former minister involved intricately with also his right-hand man, Siddiq Hussain. All kind of shenanigans going on. $1.4 billion of contracts committing the taxpayers for the next 4 years to pay $1.4 billion without cabinet approval. Yet you have a CEO saying he was told by a chairman, a PNM chairman, the PNM CEO was told by the PNM chairman that there was cabinet approval, and a PNM hired corporate secretary decides to write, to create, to formulate a board note to be circulated round robin while election is going on to PNM board members of the CEPEP company to extend contracts for 3 more years, contracts that still had life in them, contracts that were still existing, contracts that had up to 18 months still to go, without sight of a board minute, a pink sheet, a cabinet note, without rationale, without understanding, without a reason, without an emergency, without a crisis. $1.4 billion. And Faris Al-Rawi, the former minister, involved intricately with WhatsApp messages, with calls, statements, affidavits. The CEO, Keith Eddy, is not a UNC. He was hired in 2016 by the PNM, with a PNM Prime Minister, with a PNM Cabinet, with a PNM Board, with PNM HR Committee. PNM hired him. And this man has made a sworn affidavit on record saying that the then minister pressured him, that the minister's right-hand man bullied him. He was feeling pressured to approve, to move, to renew contracts, to extend contracts, to get new contractors that would be babysat by the minister's right-hand man. The minister. And then the minister was silent. And here comes the PNM mass news media, the PNM fake news media to say, Al-Rawi breaks his silence. Well, boy, I had to read this. I read it about 13 times. Al-Rawi breaks his silence. Info put out to deceive public. That's the headline. A Jesse Ramdale report. Former Minister of Rural Development and Local Government, Faris Al-Rawi, is breaking his silence on allegations tied to ongoing litigation involving the community-based environmental protection and enhancement program. Now you see how succinct, how cute, how interesting when I go on to read this, the mass PNM fake news media is. This information is not linked to litigation per se. This information is linked to actions done by a minister, a cabinet of the PNM during an election period. The litigation is there. The litigation will be discussed. The litigation will go through the process. The judge will arbitrate and the judge will rule. The fact of the matter is that there is information in the public domain that one, CEPEP contractors labeled by Foster Cummins as PNM citizens were renewed for 3 years, even though there was no need for any renewal. While everybody was in the heat of election, what was the purpose? Now this renewal commits the taxpayers, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, who are suffering from lack of foreign exchange, who are suffering from lack of job opportunities, diversification, revenue streams, heavy taxation, businesses closing down. This commits you, the taxpayers, to $1.4 billion over the next 4 years. And this has to be done with cabinet approval by the Prime Minister. Where's Stuart Young? He's going around eating roti and chow, hugging up chow man all over the place. Was the cabinet aware of this? Or was Faris Al-Rawi rogue? Did a cabinet note come to your cabinet, Stuart Richard Young? Where is the note? What number is the note? What was the rationale? What were the recommendations? What were the reasonings? What was the discussion? Did it go to F&GP? Was it approved? Did it come back the next week to be confirmed? Was that confirmed minute then sent to the Minister of Finance? Dan Paul, did you approve that? What did you say in the cabinet? Did you approve? Did you recommend? None of these things exist because no note exists. No cabinet approval was given. But somebody told the chairman of CEPEP to tell the CEO that cabinet approved, and the corporate secretary of the CEPEP company typed up a cabinet note saying, a board note saying that cabinet had approved the extension of contracts, the expenditure of $1.4 billion till 2029, that this board note is being done and the decision is asking, the board is being asked to make a decision based on a cabinet decision. That was what was sent to board members to round robin, and the last person agreed, the last PNM board member agreed at 9:12 a.m. on Monday, April 28, 2025. So it had nothing to do with no litigation. So Faris comes in here says, Al-Rawi said the information being circulated is intended to deceive the public. Really, Al-Rawi? What information is being circulated intended to deceive? Was there a cabinet note? Was there a cabinet meeting? Who did the note? Did you sign the red file? Did it go there? Was it approved? Did Mr. Eddie, the CEO, have sight of the cabinet note or the cabinet minute? Did Gopal Singh have the cabinet minute to do up the board note? Did Mr. Joel Thomas have sight of that? And now he's trying to say in an affidavit that there was an error in the first board note and there's no other board note that corrected the error. Then on the WhatsApp group and the chat with all the board members, there is no information from the chairman saying, oops, I made a mistake, cabinet never approved. Really and truly, Faris, who is trying to deceive the public? The allegations made public by CEPEP CEO Keith Eddy were that Al-Rawi pressured him to approve the mass renewal of contracts without cabinet approval in the leading up to April 28 election. The claims have been taken up, by the UNC and the Minister of Public Utilities, Barry Padarat. And Barry Padarat asked the key question. So PNM fake news media, this is what you have to ask Faris Al-Rawi. Barry Padarat said, the former Prime Minister and the line minister, together with all cabinet ministers, have a responsibility to the people of Trinidad and Tobago to say whether any member of the PNM pressured the CEO of CEPEP to extend these contracts. I am asking, says Barry Padarat, whether any of them misled fraudulently a representation that the cabinet did in fact give the approval for $1.4 billion in expenditure. See, that's very key, because you are trying to say on affidavit that Keith Eddy, a CEO Al-Rawi, he's a madman. Whatever he says is just madman. He just make up that, and they had a board note done up by the corporate secretary Gopal Singh and the chairman, and went to all 9 board members round robin, and the note says specifically cabinet has agreed, cabinet has approved. So them just concoct that like Avatar, a movie in movie tongue. That's what you are saying, Al-Rawi. But the population is not interested in your lies. I am asking, says Barry Padarat, whether any of them misled fraudulently a representation that the cabinet did in fact give approval for $1.4 billion in expenditure. Right? Now the papers, what? All they hit Al-Rawi. Usually, former Minister Al-Rawi is very vocal on the issues, and therefore his silence is deafening. All they actually put in Barry quote there, that was amazing. Normally, y'all would have edited that out. But in a statement to Guardian media yesterday, yes, Al-Rawi, come on with a statement. Let's hear it. There was a cabinet note. Look at the cabinet note. Hear it. I'm waiting to hear what he said. Let's hear what Faris Al-Rawi had to say. It is inappropriate, said Al-Rawi, while the matter is being actively considered by the court, for persons to be releasing affidavit evidence untested by cross-examination and calling upon others to comment on such evidence. The determination of litigation, and he goes on to say, well, this litigation is about 11,000 workers. The workers are okay. The workers will be okay. The workers have Kamala. Kamala will get sustainable jobs for them. Kamala will create a position that everybody in Trinidad and Tobago could move on up. Workers, this issue is not about workers. This is about fraud. This is about illegal commitment of taxpayers' dollars. This is about lies. This is about a board taking a decision with wrong information. Where did that fraudulent false information come from? A board taking a decision to commit $1.4 billion of taxpayers' money without cabinet approval. Faris Al-Rawi criticized what he called the public trading of specific allegations and suggested that the UNC's approach risk compromising the integrity of the legal process. This is what they say. Al-Rawi come out to break his silence to say, well, the thing in court, but Al-Rawi, when it was in court, you wasn't doing a press conference. You didn't do a press conference before you had to withdraw because all you do a court case and put in submissions with a company that was struck off. Al-Rawi, give me a chance, And to the PNM fake news media, board members were given a board note that was fraudulent, that fraudulently stated that the cabinet had approved the extension of contracts to 2029, committing the taxpayers to $1.4 billion. How was that done? Who did that? The CEO of the CEPEP company is not a UNC. He was hired in 2016 by a PNM cabinet, a PNM government, a PNM minister, a PNM board, PNM process. So when you see Al-Rawi coming to talk about sub judice, so you have nothing to say, Al-Rawi's fingers, his name, his WhatsApp messages, his instructions, his pressure, his right-hand man, Siddiq Hussain, all of that is all over this imbroglio. Al-Rawi, with his arrogance, overstepped his boundaries. Ministers don't get involved in those things. So Al-Rawi, you need to ask and answer these questions. Did you take a note to cabinet? When you're talking about deceive the public, are you deceiving the public now? Did you deceive the chairman of CEPEP? Did Siddiq Hussain carry out your message and deceive? How did Ms. Gopal Singh, the corporate secretary, write and do up and concoct and create a note that fraudulently said cabinet had approved? How did that information reach to Keith Eddy, the CEO? How did it get approved by round robin on April 28, 2025? Was the cabinet note approved? Did you take one? Did Stuart Young, the then Prime Minister, know about it? Was he aware of it? What was the rationale for extending these contracts? What was the emergency? What was the need to commit the taxpayers to $1.4 billion? What was Keith Eddy asking? You're saying that the UNC is putting out information there. Keith Eddy is not a UNC. Those WhatsApp messages that he put as part of his affidavit from your cell number, is that your cell phone? Are you saying that you never had any contact with him, that those messages are fraudulent by Keith Eddy? Well, then you need to sue Keith Eddy for lying on you, for creating false witness, for producing false WhatsApp messages. Did you bring pressure on Keith Eddy, Joel Thomas, or anybody at CEPEP in order to extend contracts? Did you inform the cabinet? Did you inform the former Minister of Finance, Vishnu Danpal? Did Penny Beckers know of anything? Why is this why you all lost the election? Because you were so busy, you knew you was going to lose, so you wanted to extend contracts? And is the CEPEP board note that was circulated round robin to PNM CEPEP board members, is that fraudulent? Answer those things, Faris. Don't tell me about sub judice. All right? Bless.